Hi, this is Reverend Ken and Reverend Carolyn, and we're going to be moderating today, and we're going to be talking a little bit about what does gratitude mean to you. And we're going to be talking throughout the evening on what it is and how it works in our lives and what we can do to activate our ability of gratitude. And I'd like to start our evening with an opening prayer. So, Carolyn, could I ask you to begin our opening prayer?
Thank you. Holy Spirit, as we move toward the week of Thanksgiving, our hearts are filled with gratitude, and we are thinking about gratitude more during this season than we might at other times. It is with joy that we meet together this evening from disparate parts of the United States to share our ideas, to share our feelings, and to just share the camaraderie of being in spiritual connection. So with great gratitude for each person who has chosen to join this evening, my heart is full. And as we move through the evening together, sharing what gratitude means in our lives, we say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
And this is November the 16th for our class and our get-together, and we're going to be using the Talking Stick Council in our discussions, which means that whoever is doing the speaking needs to tell us when they have ceased, and that's either by I've completed or I'm putting the stick down, and then the next person can begin their discussion, and we'll try to hold that conversation and understand that between all of us as we work through the many things we're going to be talking. You know, we're beginning this particular topic because we have our Thanksgiving season beginning, not only starting with Thanksgiving, but why this particular topic? As we move into a feeling of Thanksgiving and start feeling the change of the season as we prepare for Christmas and Thanksgiving, we look into the things within our lives and we try to find a way to be in a state of receptivity and openness as we think about what gratitude means to us. And as we move forward, there's a lot of discussion between what is gratitude and how is it felt. We know there's a big difference between being in a state of gratitude in our heart as opposed to being in a state of gratitude in our head or our mind energy. There's a lot of discussion and research that's gone into the power of the mind energy that we know that if we look at how to do something, let's say in a sports venue, playing tennis, and we see ourselves hitting the tennis ball over the net, that our mind thinks that is just the way it's done, and it's just like hitting the ball over the net, that our mind sees that as happening, so that seeing things in your mind eye and holding them as being true is quite powerful. But we also know that the remembrance of something comes from the heart, and that is where the true feeling of thanksgiving and gratitude are held within us. We know that if people are measuring the energy within our body, the energy in the mind is measurable, but the energy that is in the heart is even more measurable. It even extends further out from us. It's more powerful than we give often that understanding. So as we move in tonight, we're going to be talking about the difference between thinking about something and feeling something. When I was watching a particular presentation about how do we know when our heart has captured a feeling, and they showed on the screen a young child crawling up into what looked like a grandparent's lap. And I immediately knew what they were communicating, because I've had that feeling with my own grandchildren when they crawl up to be comforted. and I could immediately feel my whole body take that energy. And I'm sure everybody has something like that in their own existence that you have worked through or you felt, whether it be with a young child or whether it be with a significant other or a pet that moves us to feeling that connectivity with something else. So as we move tonight, we're going to be talking about that difference between the heart and the head. And we're going to be doing this through poetry as an expression, because poetry speaks so many different languages to us that it's not straightforward in something that we can look at like a class synopsis or a statement on a TED Talk that they're trying to move us someplace. Poetry is often expressed as a feeling, and they're trying to promote feelings. So we're going to use poetry tonight as the expression of what we would like to have in our hearts as we move forward in thinking about gratitude. So we're going to practice that. So we're going to start with a particular poem, and it's going to be by Rumi. And what we're going to do is Carolyn is going to read it for us, and then we're going to find out what it says to us, what it means to us, the difference between what it says in its words and how we feel about the words being used. So, Carolyn, could I ask you to do Rumi's poem?
Poetry is really important to me because it does speak to the heart, and it means different things to different people. So this Rumi poem is called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
As we listen to those words, we feel what's behind them. So what does these words that we've just heard mean in our own lives? Carolyn, would you like to start? What did those words mean to you?
Well, I think that as metaphysicians, as people who are part of Tzaddi, Unity, Centers for Spiritual Living, that because we are optimistic, because we tend to sometimes not pay tribute to those feelings that we consider not positive feelings, that we do ourselves a disservice. That what I hear in Rumi's poem, and I do love the Sufi poets, is he's saying that every feeling that we have is valid and it's useful. And every feeling is like a guest coming to my door to offer me a gift of some kind. And so one of the things that I've been practicing recently, I've just finished a class called The Presence Process, based on the book by the same name by the author Michael Brown. And the whole book is that we claim all of the feelings that we have, and that as we look more at some of the negative feelings that Rumi was talking about and let them integrate, which doesn't mean that we have to claim them as who we are, but we are no longer stuffing them, that we become more authentic. And authenticity to me is my highest value. So that's what it means to me, Ken.
Thank you. Well, as we've settled ourselves, we can now imagine that we are joining together in this sacred heart with every other person in this call right now. So what I'd like to do is open it up to how that poem talked to you, and to imagine through the intention that we're setting for ourselves, that we listen to each other with compassion and curiosity, that we ask for what we need and offer what we can, that we deepen our connection with one another and the divine. And through this sharing, it serves us and our communities and our planet. And this is truly who we are. So let's open the discussion on this particular poem and how it means to us as we practice gratitude. Anyone like to go first?
Ken, this is Diane. Would it be possible to read the poem again? I wasn't clear on the word after guest. Is it couch? What is the title? It's the guest couch?
The title is The Guest House.
Oh, how? I couldn't get that straight, and my mind was trying to figure that out. So would it be possible to read the poem again? Now I know it's guest house, and I can focus.
I would love to read it again, Diane.
Thank you.
The guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be cleaning you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Thank you very much.
I know often we talk about the difference between living in the past present and living in the future present. And I think this particular poem speaks to me that often when I awake, immediately into my mind comes things which either happened yesterday and that I'm still concerned about and need to finish, or things that I'm looking forward to for this particular day. And I think Rumi talks about that these are all possibilities for us, that they're opportunities, and it's how we welcome them into our minds and how we show gratitude for them sets up where we'll be going on that particular day. How do you feel about that?
Catherine, picking up the stick. Lovely poem. I feel that it celebrates. It's a great celebration of feelings. And we have so many societal pressures on us to control our feelings, or if you have a feeling that might be considered negative, to turn it away, try to change it. And this is so lovely. It's gratitude for anything, the feeling that comes our way, and to take it and run with it. And it's just lovely. Putting down the stick.
Well, I loved your comment. Thank you. It is gratitude for every feeling that comes our way, because as Michael Brown says in his book, all feelings are valid. They are our feelings.
Veronica, picking up the stick. This is one of my favorite poems. Absolutely. And it's a good reminder this evening of making no negative judgment about the darker feelings. They are our strengths, our angers, our resentments. They all come as messengers to give us strength through all times of our lives. And I'm going through so much right now with the judgment of my emotions. And this is a very timely reminder from one of my favorite poets and one of my favorite poems, Putting Down the Stick.
Rumi is a marvelous poet, isn't he? He says everything that touches my heart.
This is Sally picking up the stick. What the poem brought up for me is that I grew up in a house where my father's theme song was, "Why can't a woman be more like a man?" And as such, feelings were not welcome. And resultingly, I often don't welcome my feelings. I don't always know what to do with my feelings, and particularly how to kind of, as Rumi says, embrace them and celebrate them. And what struck me as I was listening to it was the fluidity of the poem and how it described feelings, that it wasn't like there was a feeling that arrived and stayed forever. And, what I find with myself is very often feelings can be much more stagnant, that, and possibly because I don't always embrace the entire range of feelings that I have. So this was a wonderful poem. I appreciate hearing it, and I'm grateful that you brought it into the circle tonight. I'm complete.
Thank you, Sally, and thank you for that deep honesty.
So this is Diane. I'll pick up the stick. What I'm hearing in the poem is a lot of receptivity to, I think he even said, to whatever comes, knocking at the door. And I have found that to be true in my life, whether it's higher vibrational feelings of, love and joy, or some of the ones on the lower end of the scale, like anger or other things that are in that realm. And I'm thinking to some of the things that I've done to when there's a situation that where there's more of a negative emotion that I'd like to be receptive to and at the same time understand more, and I find it shifts. So maybe you've all done this too, but I find imaginary tea parties to be wonderful. And so I invite in usually 4 guests, and it's 3 usually are like trust, safety, and love. And then I have the one emotion that I'm struggling with a little bit, to knock at the door, and I'm the host, and I welcome them in, and I introduce, say anger to love, and then love says whatever it has to say to anger, and then it's reciprocity, so then anger gets to say what it has to say to love, and go around the table that way. And it's very interesting what comes out of all that. And giving space and a welcoming to all those energies I find to be very helpful in creating shifts. So I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you. Often as we focus on gratitude itself, how do we know if we're just thinking about gratitude and we're actually feeling gratitude? What is the difference within you to feel the difference between it's just something you're thinking about or giving platitudes towards and actually feeling? We've all had somebody tell us, well, thank you very much for doing that, and we didn't really know if they meant it or they didn't mean it. when do we feel gratitude working in ourselves? What method does it identify in you? Or how do you know when you're in a place of gratitude, whether you're feeling it or sensing it or giving it? Can anyone share?
Catherine, picking up the stick. I think very often if I'm given a compliment or I'm given a gift or some wonderful thing has come my way, and my feeling of gratitude can be very visceral. It can be even uproarious laughter or tears, but some kind of strong physical response, the desire to hug, breaking into song, putting down the stick.
This is Carolyn, and I'm picking up the stick. Catherine, I really resonated with what you said. I feel it in my body, and sometimes what I feel is the most sincere form of acknowledgement or a compliment or a thank you does bring tears. It just touches my heart deeply. So, like you, I feel both the receiving and the giving of gratitude in my body. I am putting the stick down.
Catherine, picking up the stick. Thank you for that. I just want to clarify that the feeling of gratitude, it's different from feeling joy or feeling joyous or feeling happy, and very often the physical responses are similar, but that's just what I wanted to clarify. Thank you. Putting down the stick.
And Catherine, I agree. This was Carolyn again.
Catherine, picking up the stick. People like myself, having had a career in the arts, in performance, in music, in theater, we're a group of people who work with our emotions as part of our job. So being in touch with our emotions, having an understanding of the physical response is very important. And we're blessed in such a way that this can become almost second nature to us. Putting down the stick.
Veronica, picking up the stick. I've been working a lot with gratitude lately due to a situation that I'm in where I am pushing a boulder up a hill with people, trying to make them understand the seriousness of a situation that's abound. And I am aware of when I am getting sincere gratitude and when I'm getting what I call blow up my skirt. And I have no problem whatsoever discerning the difference. When it's sincere gratitude, I feel that I have accomplished my goal in moving a situation to a much better place. And when I'm feeling that I'm giving lip service of gratitude, I know I can also feel that I'm getting the lip service because there's an anger that I've pushed the situation to its place where it needs to be dealt with by other people, and rightfully so, than just me. And then when I begin to see that I get looked at or treated like a lapdog, I have fulfilled a function. I'm laughing because it's one of the gifts that Rumi's talking about. To laugh at the absurdity, and anger is one of my favorite emotions because it oftentimes moves me to laughter because it's my cue that someone's taking advantage of me. That's what anger does for me, and it is one of my favorites. So even today, I just had a day of moving this thing forward where I've been barking and screaming from the top of the hills, danger, 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 danger. And then everyone realizes that for the last 48 days, what I've been screaming about was actual danger, and they're all waking up to it. And I'm so fatigued, I don't even need to worry about the gratitude, because I've got the gratitude just coming from myself. The universe is saying, I love you. Now put down the stick. And now I will put down the stick.
I think it's really powerful to think about what we are talking about, that gratitude isn't necessarily something that makes us happy. Gratitude can be something that we feel, and it's infectious within us, that we're so happy to be feeling something. I was told not too long ago by a monk friend of mine, and he mentioned that in our pre-life preparation, before we come into this particular life, that often we get together as friends and we talk about those things that are going to happen in our lives that we will need help with. And often it'll be something being presented to us that is something for our growth that we're going to go through in this particular life. And how that comes about for me is often somebody will say something or do something that in the past I've always considered to be an injury, that I've been hurt by something they've said or done. And with this new look that it is a gift that's being given to me, that it is my friend that has agreed to bring this forward in my life at this time, and I should be looking at them as a friend and not as a foe. And that's really an attitude of how gratitude serves us. How does it benefit you in your life when you're feeling gratitude? Anyone like to share? How does it change your life to be feeling gratitude?
Catherine, picking up the stick. I find that it uplifts me. It gives me a sense of completion, of euphoria, of oneness, wholeness, putting down the stick.
So this is Diane.
I'm picking up this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I liked Catherine's qualities, and I would agree with that. And gratitude begets more things. It seems to help in manifestation of more things to be grateful for. They talk about writing a gratitude journal. It sets the space for the day if you do it in the morning, and it's like it opens a channel for more things to come that just create more and more space for gratitude. And that's been my experience. I'm complete putting down the stick.
Veronica picking up the stick. I'm still laughing. Gratitude is the way many times it's presented is, I'm so grateful. Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful. But I find that gratitude can come out in forms like, about time. Thank you. Thank God. Or it can be the culmination of the frustration that's arisen, and it has so many colors to it, but it's still gratitude. I'm glad I'm not dead. Oh, thank God I woke up this morning. Oh, thank God, about time you listened to me. And it's all gratitude. And in looking at that way, what can oftentimes seem as a frustration, but it's a gratitude that a feeling has moved, or a situation has moved to a place of understanding, of communication, of sharing, of saving a life, or saving yourself, or money came in time and the gifts from the universe. But it is so many colors. It's a colorful coat. Putting down the stick.
This is Sally. For me, when I'm really feeling gratitude, it is very visceral in that I sense this opening in my chest area. You know, when we talk about our hearts opening, and I feel a connection with greater source. You know, it's like when I'm feeling gratitude, it's like there's this connection which has occurred, and it's like, you know, I've received this blessing, I guess is probably the way to put it. And the other thing that happens is it really shifts the way my brain operates. And I know that you've talked about the difference of thinking gratitude and feeling gratitude. But I would also say that when I'm feeling gratitude, my thinking processes shift, and the hormones and chemistry in my body shift. And that is different than when I just, you know, am writing an email and say, thank you so much for blah, blah, blah. And it's much more of the thinking, perfunctory communication versus that deeply felt. What's coming up is like joyful connection with gratitude and all that resonance can contain and can kind of act as a catalyst for in other positive directions. As one of the other people said, it's like the gratitude we feel sets up the opportunity for more gratitude to flow into our lives. I'm done putting down the stick.
Catherine, picking up the stick. I really liked what I heard from Sally. Especially, I believe I heard the word blessings. I think there's a calmness that comes also with feeling gratitude. And growing up, we were always taught that we were to be thankful to God for his blessings. And there's a lovely song or poem, now that we're talking about poetry, from trying to think, I think it might be Holiday Inn. It's one of the Bing Crosby movies, and the song is, if you're worried and you can't sleep, count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings. And that, to me, is gratitude, putting down the stick.
Well, that's absolutely beautiful, because that will move us into this next segment, which will be a brief meditation. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to offer a prayer of gratitude to set the condition for us to move into meditation. Remember, this is linking us one to another. We can feel that radiating link coming from our hearts to the center of the circle, who we're each linked to. And we're going to feel how to practice gratitude. So I'm going to offer this prayer. We're going to have about a 5-minute meditation, and then we're going to come back as part of our checkout with how we're going to be proactive in practicing our gratitude as we move forward. This comes from the positive prayer wheel. As I awaken and breathe in the freshness of the morning air, I am filled with gratitude. Thank you, God, for this beautiful day that stretches before me. Bird songs filling the air, flowers nodding in the hillside, and a gentle breeze against my face remind me how abundantly blessed I am. And as we return from this meditation, knowing that our hearts are still linked one to another, we hold this gratitude and what bubbles up for us of how we practice gratitude in our lives and what we'd like to see each person practice in their lives for the highest and best of each one of us. So as you return to this grounded nature of who you are in the present, we open our hearts to share how we can move forward in gratitude. And whatever we would like to start.
Catherine, picking up the stick. I think for me the best way to stay in touch with gratitude or to practice gratitude is one, to remind myself on a regular basis what I have to be thankful for, and then also find a way to pass it on each day to someone else, either by reminding them that that I'm thankful to them, or also telling them what they have to be thankful for as well. Putting down the stick.
This is Carolyn.
Veronica picking up the stick.
Good.
Go ahead.
It's your turn, Veronica.
I realize that every single moment I can be grateful. I realize that now. I oftentimes get concerned of the work of the day rather than the game of the day. And by stepping in and out of alignment with the universe and God, I'm missing opportunities to see that every single moment is something to be grateful for. Even if it's being grateful to a veterinarian for removing the pain from a beloved animal, that we can do that, keep them from suffering, so that every single moment has an opportunity for gratitude. Just as this cat just came to sit in my arms and press against my cheek, or the sound of listening to my little 16-year-old dog joyfully enjoy a bowl of dinner, and the sound of little dog lips smacking at food, such a delight, and saying thank you with a cry, putting down the stick.
This is Carolyn. I'm picking up the stick. I find it really easy to feel gratitude when my life is going smoothly. And what I challenge myself with always is, like Rumi said, to greet all as a guest in this house of mine, this emotional house. And so making sure that when I'm feeling challenged or I'm feeling sad or things aren't going really well, to be grateful for that too, because it is a messenger to me. And then I can just turn to Spirit and rest, and I'll know my next step to take. I'm putting the stick down.
Sally or Diane, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. This is Diane. Go ahead, Sally.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say I like that little poem that you read before the meditation, Ken, about, I don't know, the air touching your cheek. And I remember somebody saying once, you know, how many babies are born every day in the world? and it's such an ordinary event, and the event is extraordinary. And I think it's that same thing. Like, it's extraordinary that there's air. It's ordinary that there's air, and it's ordinary that we breathe it in and out a lot, daily and in our lives. It's that ordinary extraordinary. And so I'm just with that, and in gratitude. It really is a blessing to be here. I'm complete, and thanks very much.
This is Sally, and I have to say, whenever the topic of gratitude comes up, it brings me back about 30 years or so when I first went into 12-step meetings for relationships with people in my life. And the topic of that meeting was gratitude. And I sat back with astonishment listening to this individual describe their life situation and the gratitude they had within it. And my homework for the week, so to say, was to make a gratitude list. And I will never forget the fact that it took me probably about 2 hours to come up with 3 things. And that was a huge awakening for me in how bleak my life had become because of the way I operated in my life. And since then, I find that the times that I need to just take a moment and pause, and as Diane said, think about those amazing things that are just the ordinary that are going on in my life. And in that moment, I shift my entire consciousness. And for me, I just never, ever want to go back to that darkness I was in 30 years ago. So I appreciate the topic and the reminder to utilize my tools and my intention to hold gratitude in my consciousness and my heart. I'm complete.
Blessings to everyone that shared. You know, often we are taught that the only truth in our lives is being in the present. That often when we think about things that have transpired in our lives in the past, it is something that is in the past. But we often forget that when we are in gratitude for something that has already transpired, we are in a state of presence. Because the state of gratitude is that feeling that we get now, that we can feel now, that we can move forward into tomorrow feeling that it is a state of being in the present. And it's a great gift that we give ourselves, that we give those around us by us being in a state of gratitude, that we are blessed as we move forward. Anything anybody would like to add as a closing, something that you're going to take away from this gathering together? Maybe one item.
Catherine, picking up the stick. I'm taking away from this meeting, I'm taking a present. My present is the present of the presence of Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Veronica, picking up the stick. I'm taking away the understanding of that real song from Holiday Inn. We've got plenty to be thankful for. And it just goes on and on and on. And I wanted to spend the rest of this night and the remainder of my life looking for everything that I can be grateful for, moment to moment. Good, the bad, all of it. Putting down the stick.
This is Carolyn. I'm picking up the stick, and the takeaway that I'd like to leave with tonight is just the great joy and gratitude that I'm feeling for having the opportunity to sit with all of you and hear the wisdom that you have. So thank you for letting me join tonight.
This is Sally, and I'm just going to take away the abundance of gratitude that we have shared this evening. Thank you.
This is Diane. I'm taking away the gratitude of, I think, that all that is, the amazingness that life is in all forms. I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you very much for being on this Spirit Gathering teleconference. The call can be archived as an MP3 at www.tzaddi.org. And the phone access for the recording of this call is going to be changing, but currently it is 712-432-1085, and the access code is the same that you entered this call with. We hope that you'll join us on our next Spirit Gathering on December 21st of this year. These calls are hosted by Tzaddi, an interspiritual metaphysical organization founded in California in 1964. Tzaddi welcomes, nurtures, and supports people in celebrating and more directly experiencing their relationship with the loving presence of the divine. Our programs are open to people of any race, color, national, or ethnic origin. Visit www.tzaddi.org to learn more. We will now close with thanks and a blessing. We thank Tzaddi founders Amy Keys and Dorothy Blackmere. Thanks to all of you who have been part of this community tonight. And thanks to the divine who supports us always, even when we're not aware of it. And in closing, here is our poem.
And this poem comes from another one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver. Her title is The Place I Want to Get Back to. The place I want to get back to is where in the pine woods, in the moments between the darkness and the first light, 2 deer came walking down the hill. And when they saw me, they said to each other, "Okay, this one is okay. Let's see who she is and why she is sitting on the ground like that, so quiet, as if asleep or in a dream. But anyway, harmless." And so they came on their slender legs and gazed upon me, not unlike the way I go out to the dunes and look and look and look into the faces of the flowers. And then one of them leaned forward and nuzzled my hand. And what can my life bring to me that could exceed that brief moment? For 20 years I have gone every day to the same woods, not waiting exactly, just lingering. Such gifts bestowed can't be repeated. If you want to talk about this, come to visit. I live in the house near the corner, which I have named Gratitude.
Good night, everyone.